If you ask any girl from the parish around what pleases her most from her head to her toes, she'll say, I'm not sure that it's business of yours, but I like to waltz with a log driver. For he goes burling down and down white water. That's where the log driver learns to step lightly. Yes, burling down and down white water, the log driver's waltz pleases girls completely. When the drive's nearly over, she likes to go down and watch all the lads as they work on the river. She knows that come evening they'll all be in town, and they all like to waltz with the log driver, for he goes burling down and down white water. That's where the log driver learns to step lightly. Yes, burling down and down white water, the log driver's waltz pleases girls completely. To please both her parents she had to give way and dance with the doctors and merchants and lawyers. Their manners were fine, but their feet were of clay, for there's none with the style of her log driver. For he goes burling down and down white water. That's where the log driver learns to step lightly. Yes, burling down and down white water, the log driver's waltz pleases girls completely. Now she's had her chances with all sorts of men, but none is so fine as her lad on the river. So when the drive's over, if he asks her again, I think she will marry her log driver, for he goes burling down and down white water. That's where the log driver learns to step lightly. Yes, burling down and down white water, the log driver's waltz pleases girls completely. That's an old Canadian folk song. I hope you enjoyed that. And the reason I sang that is because I'm a week behind, I know. It was last Tuesday, was Shrove Tuesday, when it's traditional to have pancakes. But as I said, I'm a week behind, so I'm making pancakes this Tuesday. And when I think of pancakes or flapjacks or griddle cakes or whatever title you like to slap on them, for some reason I always think of loggers and log drivers. Go figure, I don't know. But that's why I sang that song, because we're making pancakes and it made me think of loggers and log drivers. For those of you who may not know what a log driver is, they used to log up in the higher parts of the river area, the valleys. They would take the logs trimmed of the branches and everything, and they would form up a log boom on the river. And then men would actually ride these rafts of logs down the river to the mills. And the fellows that did that were called log drivers. If you go to Google, or actually go on YouTube, and to the search function on YouTube and type in log drivers waltz, you can actually see a cartoon version with the song being sung, but it was done a few years back by the Canadian Film Board, and it's quite an enjoyable little sort of cartoon film to watch. Anyway, let's get on with our mission of the day, which is to make pancakes, flapjacks, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to start off by combining our wet ingredients. And I didn't grab my whisk, we will need it. Ta-da! One whisk. Actually, I'm going to need 2 whisks. There we go, I've whisked them right over here. And so we start with the wet ingredients. So we are going to add 1 egg slightly beaten. How do you slightly beat an egg? Well, it means you don't have to go after it hammer and tongs. You just give it a few quick stirs with your whisk or fork or whatever you use. Just enough to break the yolk and kind of mix it around a bit, but you don't need to do it like you're scrambling an egg for an omelet. And to that we are going to add, and this isn't a wet ingredient, but we're going to add it anyway, either a, lost my place here, hang on, 2 tablespoons of sugar, or because I'm making this diabetic friendly, I'm using 2 tablespoons of Splenda. So in goes 2 tablespoons of Splenda. You can start whisking that in with the egg. Now you'll find that the Splenda doesn't mix with the egg quite as nicely as sugar does, but it will mix, and that's the important thing. Then to that, we are going to add a 1/2 cup of sour cream. Seems like we just used sour cream last week to make our rouladen, which we did. And that's why I'm making sour cream pancakes this week, because I have leftover sour cream. There we go. So if you're like me and don't use sour cream for too many things, and you have leftover sour cream for making your rouladen, you're all set to make your sour cream pancakes. And in it goes. I have this terrible thing of trying to get every last drop, and I should break myself of that habit, but old habits die hard, as they say. And we ought to add, where is it? A cup and a 1 cup, exactly. Sorry, 1 cup of milk. I was going to almost say 1.5 cups of milk, but it's not. It's 1 cup of milk. See if I can get the rest of that sour cream off there. And then we're going to whisk that all together. So you got your egg, your sugar or Splenda, your sour cream, and your milk, and you want to really whisk that all together. Blend it well. Okay, and once you've got the sour cream blended in, and it'll blend in fairly easily. Once you've got that done, then our final liquid ingredient, oh no it isn't either, I'm telling fibs, is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Just like that. And we want 2 tablespoons of melted butter. There's 1. And there's 2. Now I have some melted butter left over, but that's okay. I can use that in my fry pan before I put the pancakes in. And then we whisk those together into the mix. The thing you'll find the hardest to whisk in nicely will be the butter, because of the oils in it. You know, when you try and mix oil and water, right, to make salad dressing, you'll find the oils and the butter want to try and separate and aren't quite as willing to mix in as the other things. Okay, once you've got your liquids all blended together, we'll just set that aside for a minute. And now we're going to mix our dry ingredients. So our first dry ingredient we want is 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And then you are going to want a, where am I? I lost my place, sorry. We want 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. You don't want to get those mixed up. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And now we're going to blend those all together. This is why I wanted 2 whisks. See where I'd have a bit of a mess if I used the whisk that was wet from the other stuff to try and blend this together, right? Yeah, it wouldn't work too well. I'd have a whisk lollipop with flour stuck all over it, glued to it like gum. There we go. All right, Now we're going to take our wet ingredients and our dry ingredients, and we are going to slowly start blending our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients. Because if we keep them separate, we will never have pancake batter. Now, one nice thing about this recipe is you can make it now, let's say, and then put it in the refrigerator, cover it, put it in the fridge, and tomorrow morning get up and make fresh pancakes for your family. And have you done your prep work the night before? It takes about 15 minutes probably to do the prep work, mix your batter. Mrs. Wygath is in her card group, and I'm not sure if she's coming home for supper tonight. She might be going out with the gals, so she said she'd text me and let me know one way or the other, but with or without Mrs. Wygath, I'm having pancakes. But I made them diabetic friendly so that if she is here, she can eat them. Most Tuesdays she comes home for supper, but every now and then she goes out with the gals. And that's just fine. We all need our time with our friends as well as our time with our spouse, and sometimes we need some alone time too, right? All therapeutic. Alright, this batter's starting to thicken up nicely. You gotta love a whisk. I don't know who invented the whisk, but God bless him. Maybe I'll have to do that one of these Fridays for my my Friday story. I'll have to see if I can find the history behind the whisk and who the person was that invented it. Anybody out there have any guesses as to who it might have been? Maybe his last name was Whisk, or her last name was Whisk. Mr. or Mrs. Whisk invented this mixing apparatus for the kitchen, and so it was named after them. No, I don't think that would be the case. Probably named a whisk because they used it to whisk things together. But I'll see if I can find out and do that as a Friday story. So we're getting our batter. Look at that. Let's just whip it up nice there. Can you see that? Now this makes, depending on how big you make the pancakes, of course, but basically they say about 12 pancakes. So I'm thinking those will probably be, like this size. If you like your big pancakes big, then probably not so much. I guess you could make one great big gigantic pancake if you wanted to. Now for those of you watching from the other side of the Atlantic, this is what we would call American style pancakes, as opposed to the English pancakes that I made in one of my other videos. Oh, these smell good already. I can smell the vanilla. So now I do like the big chefs, see? Well, I need a bowl 3 times this size. I'll get it in there and we'll give her a good whisking around. Alrighty, we have our pancake batter. We're ready to put in the fry pan, or skillet, or griddle, or whatever you use to cook your pancakes on. So I'm going to get my frying pan set up. I'm going to use the electric fry pan, but you can use a griddle, iron skillet, whatever you normally cook your pancakes on, that's what you can use. So don't go away. I'll be back in just a minute and we'll start cooking up some pancakes. Well, we're back, and as you can see, I've got my fry pan lightly greased with butter. I used some of the leftover melted butter from the recipe. I'm going to use my ladle, and we're going to cook some flapjacks. You can spread them out a little bit. You don't want them, they're going to rise, so you want them to be a little bit thicker. There we go. Or not thicker, I'm sorry, a little bit thinner. Now, if you find this is the batter's too thick, you can add a little more milk to it, and that's perfectly all right. And we'll get those cooking. I've got my fry pan, my griddle set at about 350 degrees. And now with regular pancakes, you can watch the tops. When you first put the batter in, it's going to have a shine to it. So you want to watch for that shine to disappear. And your normal pancakes, your non-sour cream pancakes, you're going to get bubbles popping. They'll come up through from the bottom. You can see they're actually happening here a little bit too. And you want to wait for those bubbles to stop popping before you flip it over. I always find with these that the first ones tend to cook a little quicker on the bottoms. And you have to be careful because you really don't want them to burn. These will be nice, a little bit of butter on them and some maple syrup, or if you don't like maple syrup, maybe some Aunt Jemima's or some golden corn syrup, or Rogers syrup, or whatever it is I don't know what you have in England for syrups. I'm sure you can buy maple syrup over there at a premium. One of our companies over here, Rogers Sugar out of British Columbia, makes a sugarcane syrup. But there's certainly lots of different things you could use. Some people even like jam and jelly or choke cherry syrup or blueberry syrup. So what you put on them to eat them is totally up to you. Okay, I'm going to pause you and bring you back because this is going to be as boring as watching a cloud fly by. So we'll come back in just a minute when I'm ready to flip these. Okay, we're ready to flip them, so we'll start with the one in the corner here. There you go, you get a nice golden brown on that side. We'll slide in there. I like these flexible spatulas. I find that the metal ones being stiff make it a little harder to get under sometimes. Oh, look at those. They look nice and golden brown. And Rowan's just sure that I'm cooking these for him. You can hear him meowing in the background. Hey, buddy, you think these are for you? Do you? Not quite. Yeah, it's almost your time, isn't it? Almost time for you. Yeah, hang on there, buddy. He's right here beside me, trying to get my attention. I'll let these cook up nice. Now, one way you can tell if you want to make sure they're cooked is you just poke a little hole in the middle there and pull out your spatula. See, if it's still raw or doughy in the middle, when you pull it out, it'll stick to your spatula. So these are pretty close to done. As you can see, the spatula is coming out clean. Kind of like testing a cake, right? Now, if I was going to serve these to you, I wouldn't do that to them, but I'm probably going to eat these ones. And let's give them a few seconds longer, and then we'll put our stack on the plate. Alrighty, let's plate these puppies up. The other side looks much nicer. We'll put the other side up, shall we? There's a pancake stack that any log driver would be proud to eat. So, I hope you've enjoyed the recipe for today, and we'll give it a try. So it's sour cream pancakes. I know there's a lot of different pancakes out there. There's even some that use soda pop in them. There's a 7-Up pancake mix, and they're quite tasty as well. Also works, this batter also works well for waffles. So if you have a waffle iron and are not a fan of pancakes, you can make yourself some waffles. There you go. So we will see you on Friday for our shout-outs and groaner and story of the week. And maybe it might be about the whisk. We'll have to see. Alrighty. Have a good week, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe. Take care, and God bless.